Hi and welcome to Golf FM, and this is a test on the G40 versus the I530. I think after this I've completed the ping level. I think I've done every test that you could possibly do, relevant test that you could possibly do between G40 and one of the other models in the ping range. I'll put cards up there for the other videos that I've done on this. I think it's like 3 or 4 I've done on the G40 in about the last week, it seems like. I mean, I'm pretty much sick of the sight of it, to be honest. It's really nice, but I'm virtually sick of the sight of it. I530 I actually use, so I know this club. I want to put these two together because it's going to be a question that gets asked: am I an I530 player or am I a G440 player? In terms of price, there's a bit of a difference. For 7 irons, you're looking at £12.49 for the I530 and you're looking at £999 for the G440. So £250 of a difference worked out on a calculator. And you've got to decide whether that money is worth spending. Both the same loft, 29 degrees for 7 iron, which is strong, but not that unusual these days. So it's a good test in terms of technical specification. You've got a hollow-bodied, basically game improvement style club inside the body of a forged club. So a lot of people look at the I530 and think it's a blade. It isn't a blade. It's hollow in the middle and has pretty much as much help as most cavity back irons that you will see, but in a sleeker, more player-ish looking package. G440's gone a little bit more like that. It's a little bit sleeker, a little bit fancier maybe than it had been in the past. It's almost got this sort of cap back design again where it's closed over. It's not far off it. And they could be very close competitors. So in terms of looks, sorry, just change the camera angle there for no apparent reason, just to make it slightly more interesting. It's still not that interesting, it's just, it's different. It's different to what it was. I530 and G440 back to back, when you put them in the bag now, they're very different. You've basically got a blade style iron as against a cavity backed iron. So they are very different in terms of the way they look. And you have to decide, can I live with a cavity back design? Do I like that? Or do I really hanker after a bladey type looking club and I really want to have something that looks bladey? That's up to you. To me, I prefer the I530 because I've traditionally played slightly bladier things in the past. I need a lot of help now, so this is a good compromise. In terms of the soles, it's probably a little bit wider, the G440, but there's not a lot in it. The wider the sole is, the less it tends to dig into the turf. So if you have a problem hitting the ball fat, which is probably one of the most depressing shots in golf, then the wider the sole is better for you. So they're not that different. It looks a little bit wider and the club head looks a little bit longer in the G440 from heel to toe. In terms of top line, not a lot in it. It does look a little bit smaller, the I530, and the top line is possibly, yeah, is a little bit thinner. And offset, not that different on offset. There's hardly any offset on the G440. There's a tiny bit. Offset helps you not hit the ball to the right. That must be about the 17th millionth time I've said that in the last week or two. So apologies if you've been watching my other videos and you're thinking, I'm so bored of this. I've just heard this over and over again. Here he goes on about offset. Personally, I don't think offset does a huge amount, right? When I hit offset clubs in here, I should be hooking them if it does anything, because my bad shot's a hook, and anything that's trying to stop it going right, well then it's potentially adding to it going left. It doesn't really work like that. And there's hardly any on the G440 anyway. And I have said in the other countless videos that I've done on the G440 that it could appeal to lower handicaps than it did in the past, because it looked a bit more like the part of the market it was aimed at, which was game improvement, and it had that look in the G430. It looks a little bit sleeker now, and with the lack of offset on it and the fairly thin top line, I think there's going to be some quite low handicappers relatively that will be interested in it. And again, that's why it's a good test to do. So that's the looks. Obviously that's up to you, and it's not as if they're trying to be similar to each other. The head makeup also, sorry, I should point out, on the I530, you've basically got a stainless steel body like the G440 is, but in the face section you've got a forged face. So forged is a softer metal, and so the feel should be softer. So the £250 potentially will be in feel, and it's just up to you whether you think feel is worth £250 or not. But that's what I want to do today, is see, is there any difference in distance, the height the ball goes, the spin rates, that sort of thing, but also importantly the feel. Does the feel of the i530 justify its higher price? So I think I'll hit i530 first, because I'm basically sick of hitting the G440 and I don't want to hit it straight away again. I'm just bored of it. I know roughly what it does anyway, but I will hit a few again just to check, because also I want to see back to back what it feels like. So I'll hit i530 first. Honestly, there's just so many clubs coming out at the moment. It's just constant video, video, video. I just keep thinking of new ones that I have to do, and it's like, it's just never ending. Anyway, this hard life, innit? Hard life, hitting golf shots. I am doing a day's work before this, I'll have you know, in the shop, but YouTube, massive thing at the moment, churning out the videos constantly. Right, get on and hit it. Get on and hit it is what you're all shouting. Right, so i530, know what it looks like, very little offset, but fairly big, long club head, so it does give you a bit of confidence. I'd love it if it was a little bit shorter as well, personally. But you can't have everything. It wouldn't be as forgiving if I did that, and it probably wouldn't go as far either. I am using the Dynamic Gold Mid 115 S300, which is not actually the shaft I use in my own set. I have the Dynamic Gold 105, which is not that much different. But I'll use the same shaft in both of these clubs. It's pretty close to fitting me anyway. That was a nice strike, and that is unheard of on the first shot to hit a good one. And that is 168, 183. And what is, oh, I don't believe it. I knew it was too good to be true. I hadn't set it on a specific iron, so that would have just been lost that day. So we have to ignore that one, unfortunately. But hopefully I'll hit some more like that. Rubbish. Knew it, knew that's what would happen. Can't leave that in. It's a good strike, but I've probably shoved it out to the right a little bit. Oh no, a little bit cutty. Good strike though, 172, 186. Descent angle 42, spin 49. Good strike. Didn't record it. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you see me getting slightly annoyed with SkyTrack and threatening it with violence on occasions. In fact, the last video I had to get the hammer out. I had to lie the hammer next to it. Do you know what? I almost feel, that's an early one. I almost feel like I need to get the hammer out straight away. I really hoped I wasn't going to have to get the hammer out. We had to lie it there, just as a wee warning to SkyTrack to behave itself. Didn't hit that particularly well, and that's why it recorded it. Might even take that out. It's gone 164, 183, but it didn't now. All the stats are messed up. That was a wee bit clean, but reasonably well hit. So I would almost tend to keep that in unless it's really miles off somehow. 170 for 183, yeah, I'll keep that one in. These are forgiving. I mean, that's why I went to these. I had Blueprint S irons, which just dropped out there. I mean, if you've heard this before in my countless other ping videos, I apologise now. But what I was going to say was the Blueprint S, just the minute you hit out the tour heel, just drops out. The air goes nowhere. You're pitching and hitting from 20, 30 yards short of the target. You're not even putting when you hit it slightly badly. Whereas i530 maintains the distance, even though you have failed to hit the middle of the club. And that's what forgiveness is. That was good, but it's probably left. It does feel nice, this. It's not the softest of the player's distance irons. 174, 190, it's a little bit left, but it's not that far left, so I'll probably keep it in. It's pretty soft though, but it's not. There are softer ones out there. Which ones? You cry. Callaway Callaway Apex, that's a bit softer. That's softest of the lot, I would say. Wilson Dynapower, that's another one, pretty soft. Oh, that felt nice. Please, yes. SkyTrack would have got hammered, physically hammered there if that had missed that one. That was a nice shot, 173, 187. And then when you hit it like that, it does feel really nice. Really quite soft and that sort of forged feel. I like it. Decent strike. Nice club this. I might think of getting a set one you have. 179, 195, so it's going miles. G440 might struggle to get that. We'll see. Maybe I'm just swinging well. Decent strike again, not as good as the last one, and it didn't get it. can't hit it any harder than that. It was about 4 grand or something. You've got to do something. Actually, red light went on. Okay, maybe that's sorted it. Good strike. Yes. It thought about it. It's 176191. These are quite good figures. I think I've decided to swing decently today, which is unheard of, really. Getting enough practice with all these videos, I suppose. Yeah, not as good. It didn't get it again. Well, hammers, just a wee tap with the hammer each time. I know it seems a bit weak-willed, that, but I can't really properly hit it, can I? I feel like I would like to. Decent strike again, and again it didn't get it. Hope I haven't broken it. Right, it would just have to wait for it to settle itself down. On Skyers. Come on. Maybe I need to be nice to it. Maybe stop hitting it. Actually talk to it and try and reason with it. Come on, be nice to me. Decent strike again. Please don't tell me you've wasted it. Thank you. So that was a kind word. Maybe that's the way I need to go. 176192. I don't think I need to hit many more of these because there's some really good ones in there. And it's going to be hard enough to beat. That wasn't that great. I wonder what that's done in terms of forgiveness. Quite straight, but I didn't hit it that well. 166, 181. Leave it in and hit one more. Good strike. A little bit out to the right maybe, but a nice strike. It's not buttery soft, but it's soft enough. 174, 189. Okay, right, G440. Okay, so G440, here we go again. Down behind the ball, really nice. Now, coming from I530, my immediate feeling is I'm not disappointed. Let's get that back to back again. It's a tiny bit thinner in most places, I530. And when you see it, it is a little bit smaller than G440. But really, when I was first put that down, it's a pleasant experience. It's not disappointing in any way, shape or form from I530. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing in its favour. I mean, some people might want this to be thicker and chunkier to give them a feeling of confidence, but generally speaking, I think thinner top lines are seen as slightly more attractive. But that's not a fact, because what something looks like is completely subjective and is totally up to you. So whatever you want. But to me, I'm pleased when I put this down. I like it. Decent strike, not 100% flush, but nice and straight. Certainly an 8 or 9 out of 10 in terms of strike. 175, 189. Spin similar. Descent angle a bit steeper. So the descent angle is how steeply it comes down. So if it's coming down really steep, then it'll stop quickly. Millionth time I've said that in the last week. Okay. Not an unbelievable strike, but reasonably hard hit. Would still be expecting it to get the job done on the golf course. Yeah, 176, 191. We'll have a look at the figures at the end, obviously go into them a bit more detail, but descent angle is good. Good strike, a little bit out to the right. Oh, I could keep it in. I had a 181, I think, with the other one. Pretty good, I think. Oh, honestly, it's like a dagger to the heart every time it does that. Please don't do it again. Pretty good, I think. Tiny bit left. 172, 188. Nothing special. Decent strike, I think. What about to the right? 178, 192. In terms of feel, it's not disappointing. It's just, I don't think it's quite as soft, but it's not that far away in terms of the actual feel. Decent strike. A little bit left. There's a 196. That was a nice strike. Yeah, it's not quite as soft as the I530. Not got that forged feel, so that was a good strike in it. You could tell it wasn't a forged face, but it's really quite good. Really quite a nice softish feel. Right, I don't need to hit too many more. That was a good strike again. A little bit out to the right. Might not go quite as far. No, it's not bad. 178, 192. Why don't we stop it there, because that's a decent batch. Let's see what the figures are. Okay, so the figures. 118 ball speed on I530, 119 on G440. But let's just check. Swing speed 84. Yeah, so it's similar in terms of the swing speed and everything. So it probably is a little bit faster off the face then. 1 mile an hour I'm getting on my stats. I don't know what the ping 50 million pound robot would say, but you know, they have used stainless on the G440 in terms of the face material, which you can make a little bit thinner and springier by virtue of the fact it's a bit harder and stronger. So the forged face can't quite be as thin as the 17.4 face, I think anyway. And so that might explain why it's a wee bit zippier off the face. 17 degrees launch, I530 18, so not a lot of difference there. 4.7 spin on the I530 and 4.8 on the G440. So good that it's spinning a little bit more. Descent angle 43 on the I530 and 45 on the G440, so better, more acute angle. In terms of carry, 173, I530, 175, G440, and 188, 190 on the total distance. So it is a win for the G440 if you consider they are the same loft. You know, off that fitting, I should be using the G440 instead of the I530. It's better for me. I've got a slightly different shaft than the other one, so that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. I do prefer the look of the I530 though. So that's a big part of this, is do you prefer a bladey look or do you quite like the G440 and you think, well, actually, it's a little bit faster off the face, a little bit better descent angle, a little bit better spin. I mean, this is all dependent on your own launch characteristics, obviously. But pound for pound, it's looking like the G440 is fractionally stronger in terms of how far it might go and how well it might hold on to distance, which is your forgiveness. In terms of feel, it's definitely a win for I530. And in my book, it's a win for I530 and looks. So that's 2-all as far as I can see. Price-wise, it's a win for G440, so that's 3-2 if you're doing points. I've never done points before in my life with this, but we seem to be doing points at the moment. And if you did points, then it's potentially 3-2 to the G440 and therefore a win. I never like saying that though in terms of what's better than another club, because they're just slightly different, especially in this case. That's player distance category, just slightly different category to this, which is meant to be just game improvement. But I do think that the way this looks, the sleekness, the lack of offset, it's starting to get into this market a little bit. It's starting to become a competitor for these type of clubs. And the only thing that these things are really holding on to is that feel and looks angle. So as I say, pound for pound on paper, the G440 wins just in terms of performance, not by a lot, virtually nothing in it. And then it's just down to looks and feel. Do you want to pay £250 more for a very slightly softer feel and something that looks like a blade, or are you happy paying £999, which is not exactly cheap either? I can't make that decision for you. Hopefully this test helped you. Hopefully it cleared things up a little bit with what's what and how they perform. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments and I'll get back to you. And once again, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.